square is folded twice. What does the paper look like unfolded? Welcome to a complete walkthrough of the CAT4 Level F test. 8 question types across 4 areas: verbal, quantitative, non-verbal, and spatial. Each one explains step by step, so you can solve it yourself. Let's begin. Before we look at our question, I want to show you something. Because once you understand this one idea, every figure analysis question becomes a lot simpler. Take a piece of paper. Fold it in half. Now punch one hole through both layers. When you unfold it, you don't get one hole, you get 2. That second hole appeared on the exact opposite side of the fold, perfectly mirrored. That's it. That's the whole rule. One fold, one hole becomes 2. And it works exactly like that every single time. Okay, so now look at our question. The paper starts as a flat square. It gets folded diagonally, once, then again. And then 2 holes are punched through all those layers at once. So before we even touch the answer options, let's just think about this together. 2 folds means 4 layers of paper. 2 holes punched through 4 layers each, that gives us 8 holes once the paper is fully opened up. Now watch what actually happens as each crease opens. First fold opens and 4 holes appear. 2 original, 2 mirrored. Second fold opens and those 4 become 8. So if you just counted to 8 and picked the first one that looked right, you'd probably get it wrong. Because at level F, the count is never the hard part. It's which way each hole is pointing. B, C, and E all have 8 holes, but the directions are off. A doesn't even have the right number. That leaves D, and when you trace through each reflection carefully, every single triangle in D is pointing exactly where it should be. The answer is D. So here's what to remember. Counting the holes gets you close. Working out which way they point gets you the right answer. Okay, so this is figure recognition. The target shape isn't in its own separate box. It's hidden inside one of those 5 complex figures. And your job is to find it. Here's the thing that trips everyone up. The background lines are designed to disguise it. They're not random, they're there specifically to confuse you. So if you just stare at the options hoping to spot it, your brain will start seeing the shape in places it isn't. That's the trap. Instead, before you even look at the options, describe the shape precisely, just to yourself. 2 things. First, the outer boundary. This polygon tilts to the upper right. That tilt is fixed. It cannot be rotated, it cannot be flipped. Second, the notch. There's a sharp triangular notch cut into one side, pointing inward. That direction is also fixed. 2 features: outer tilt, notch direction. Hold both of those in your mind. Now open the options. Option A has a circular overlay. When you check the tilt, it's off. Eliminate. Option C, the polygon inside is rotated. Eliminate. Option D, the outer shape looks similar, but the notch is flipped. Eliminate. Option E, the shape has been rotated. The tilt doesn't match. Eliminate. That leaves B. Check the outer tilt. Matches exactly. Check the notch. Same direction, no rotation, no flip. The shape is right there, hidden inside all those crossing lines. The answer is B. Here's how you tackle any figure classification question before we even look at this one. You're always given a few figures that are already correct, the STEM figures. Look at them side by side and ask yourself 2 questions. What's changing between them? And what's staying exactly the same? Whatever changes, ignore it completely. Whatever stays exactly the same across every single figure, that's your rule. But here's the catch on this particular question. There isn't just one rule hiding in there. There are two, and you need both to find the answer. Look at these three figures. The shape changes every time. Arrows, then squares, then chevrons. So the shape itself is not the rule. Ignore it. Now, Rule 1. Look at the fill at each position. Top is always solid black. Left always has vertical stripes. Right always has horizontal stripes. Bottom is always white, just an outline, no fill. Check that against all three stems. Every time, same 4 fills, same 4 positions. That's Rule 1, confirmed. Now, Rule 2. And this one's easy to miss if you stop after finding the first rule. Look at which way each shape is pointing. The top shape points down towards the middle. The bottom shape points up towards the middle. Left points right. Right points left. All 4 pointing inward towards the exact same spot. And because all 4 are converging on that one point at the same time, their edges overlap right there in the center. And that overlap is what you're seeing as an X. It's not a separate X drawn on top. It's just 4 shapes, all pointing at the same target. Option A. The left shape should carry vertical stripes, but it doesn't. That breaks the fill rule. Eliminate. Option B. No stripes anywhere at all. Option C. The bottom shape is flipped. Eliminate. 4 different shapes, not one shape repeated 4 times. Eliminate. Every one of those fails at least one rule. One failure is enough. That leaves D. Our next question looks different. It's a grid, not a single figure. This is figure matrices. The method is simple once you know it. Here's how you always approach a question like this. You get 3 rows. In each row, the first 2 boxes are shapes. The third box shows what happens when you combine them. Your job is to work out that rule using the first 2 rows, where you can already see the answer. Then use the exact same rule to fill in the missing third row. Never guess the rule from row 1 alone. Always check it against row 2 as well. Let's check row 1. 2 black curved arrows, almost the same, just turned slightly. And in the third box, the 2 arrows turned a quarter turn placed on top of each other, and the black colour is gone completely. Only the outline is left. So 3 things happened. Turn, stack together, remove the black. Now let's check that against row 2 before we trust it. 2 black arrow-like V shapes, one pointing right, one pointing left. Same 3 steps. Turned a quarter turn, stacked together, all the black removed. Same rule, twice in a row. Now we can trust it completely. So now look at row 3. 2 black moon shapes curving in opposite directions. Before we look at the options, what should the missing box look like? Turn them a quarter turn. Stack them on top of each other. Remove all the black. Option D still has solid black in it. Eliminate it straight away. Option B shows moon shapes just stacked in a row. Eliminate. Option C has the correct colour but no rotation. Eliminate. And option E has a wrong rotation as well. Eliminate. That leaves A, an outline shape with both white moon shapes turned a quarter turn and layered inside it. Every step matches. Our next question is verbal analogies. Every verbal analogies question has the exact same mission. Find the relationship in the first pair, then find that same relationship in the second. That's the whole job. Get the relationship right, and the answer becomes obvious. Here's the trap this question sets. Look at the answer choices. nervous, terrified, worried, cautious, uneasy. 4 of those 5 are all about fear. If you just pick the one that feels related to apprehensive, you have a 1 in 4 chance at best. So here's the method. Whenever most of the answer choices belong to the same topic, the question is almost never testing, what does this word mean? It's testing something more precise, degree. Look at the first pair, irritated and furious. Both are anger, but not the same size of anger. Irritated is mild, furious is extreme. That's not 2 words that mean the same thing. That's 1 word, and then the most extreme version of that same feeling. Now apply that to apprehensive. It's a mild form of fear. So the answer isn't just a fear word, it has to be the most extreme version of fear. The same size jump that took irritated all the way up to furious. Nervous. Fear family, but sits at almost the same level as apprehensive. Eliminate. Worried. Same problem. Eliminate. Cautious isn't even a feeling, it's a behavior. Eliminate. Uneasy actually moves backwards, milder than apprehensive, not stronger. Eliminate. That leaves terrified, extreme fear, the exact same size jump as irritated to furious. The answer is B. Now we move to a verbal classification question. Here's the mission every time you see one of these. You're given 3 words that are already a group. Your job isn't to notice they're kind of similar, your job is to work out exactly, precisely what they share. And then find the one option that shares that exact same thing. Here's the trap, especially at level F. Every wrong answer will also feel related. Same topic will not save you here. Only precision will. So let's build that precision, 1 layer at a time. Diminish, dwindle, subside. All 3 mean becoming less. A storm subsides. Support dwindles. Enthusiasm diminishes. But becoming less is too broad. We need to sharpen this. Look closely at how these words behave in a sentence. You don't diminish something. You don't dwindle something. The storm subsides all on its own. Nobody subsides it. Compare that to a word like reduce. You reduce something. Someone has to act on it. That's a completely different kind of word. How does the decrease happen? Slowly, gradually, not suddenly. And what's decreasing? Strength, amount, intensity. Not color, not condition, not quality. So here's our full, precise label. A word that decreases gradually, on its own, in strength or amount. Before we check the options, hold that label in your mind. Gradual, self-driven, strength or amount. All 3 at once. Collapse, that's sudden, not gradual. Eliminate. Reduce needs an object. Wrong word class. Eliminate. Fade. Gradual, yes, but usually about color or visibility. Wrong dimension. Eliminate. Deteriorate. About quality getting worse, not amount. Also wrong dimension. Eliminate. That leaves wane. Gradual, self-driven. The moon doesn't need help to wane. And it describes strength or intensity fading over time. All 3 conditions met at once. The answer is D. Now we move to a number analogies question. Here's the mission every time you see one of these. You're given 2 complete number pairs, not just one. Use both pairs to lock in the exact rule before you ever touch the third one. Start with the first pair. 6 becomes 17. Try multiplying by 3. 18. So close, 1 too many. So try multiply by 3, then subtract 1. 18 minus 1 is 17. That matches. But one match could be a coincidence. Check it against the second pair. 9 times 3 is 27. Minus 1 is 26. That matches too. Confirmed. So apply it to 8. 8 times 3 is 24. Minus 1 is 23. That leaves 23. The answer is B. Now we move to a number series question. Here's the mission every time you see a sequence like this. Look for one simple rule first. Always adding the same number. Always multiplying by the same number. If you find it, you're done. But sometimes there is no simple rule. That's exactly when most students freeze. Here's what to do instead. Write down the gap between each pair of numbers. At level F, the gaps almost always hide their own pattern, and that's where the real answer lives. Let's do it here. 4 minus 3 is 1. 7 minus 4 is 3. 12 minus 7 is 5. 19 minus 12 is 7. 28 minus 19 is 9. So the gaps are 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Now look at just those gaps on their own. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Every one of those is odd, and each one is exactly 2 more than the last. That's not random. That's its own pattern, sitting one layer underneath the original sequence. So what comes next in that pattern? If the gaps keep climbing by 2, the next gap has to be 11. The answer is C. If walking through these together helped, there's more waiting for you. Free practice tests, full PDF guides for every level from X to G. Thank you for watching, and good luck on your exam.